listen up. You already know this isn't for everybody. This is for the ones who made one decision that rewired their entire life. This is for the ones who stopped asking permission. This is for you. You remember that moment. Don't pretend you don't. That split second where everything in you said, if I do this, there's no going back. Your hands felt steady, but your chest was loud. Not fear, clarity. The kind of clarity that only shows up when you're done being played with. And you made the move. Not loud, not dramatic, not for applause. Just final. That was the moment you stopped being predictable. That was the moment people couldn't read you anymore. That was the moment you stopped explaining yourself to people who never listened anyway. See, before that decision, they thought you were safe. They thought you were flexible. They thought you'd bend like always. They thought you'd overthink, delay, soften the blow, make it easier for them to digest. And then you didn't. You didn't give a warning speech. You didn't ask how they'd feel about it. You didn't workshop the decision with people who benefit from you staying small. You just acted, and something snapped, in a good way. Because here's the part nobody talks about. Power doesn't come from confidence. Confidence comes after power. Power comes from proving to yourself that when the moment arrived, you didn't flinch. That split-second decision trained your nervous system. It told your brain, we're not surviving anymore. We're choosing. It taught your soul that discomfort isn't danger. It taught your spine how to stay straight under pressure. After that, everything changed. Your silence started hitting different. Your no didn't sound negotiable anymore. Your presence felt heavier, even when you said nothing. People started watching you closer, not because you were louder, because you were unpredictable. See, predictable people get managed. Unpredictable people get respected and feared, and sometimes quietly resented. You noticed it, didn't you? The way conversations shifted when you walked in, the way certain people stopped testing you, the way others suddenly started acting polite. Too polite. Because they felt it. They felt that you crossed an internal line you'll never uncross. That decision burned something out of you. The version that kept giving chances past their expiration date. The version that kept rationalizing disrespect. The version that kept saying, maybe next time will be different. You stopped negotiating with reality. And here's the part that messes with people the most. You didn't become cruel. You became clear. You didn't turn cold. You turned precise. You didn't lose empathy. You just stopped bleeding it out for people who never planned to heal you. That's why they can't fuck with you anymore. Because now, when someone tries you, you don't explode. You don't argue. You don't chase closure. You calculate. You let silence do the damage. You let consequences speak. You let distance replace drama. And deep down, they know, if pushed, you'll make the hard call again, without shaking, without explaining, without looking back. That's terrifying to people who live on leverage. Because you're not powered by approval anymore. You're powered by self-trust. That split-second decision didn't just change your situation, it changed your identity. You stopped asking, what if this goes wrong? And started asking, what happens if I don't do this? You stopped being controlled by outcomes. You became controlled by standards. And standards don't beg. That's why your energy feels different now. Why your boundaries don't wobble. Why your words land harder even when you whisper them. You're not aggressive. You're anchored. You're not dominant. You're done. Done being underestimated. Done being overextended. Done being available to people who only show up when they need something. And the funniest part? they still don't know what that move cost you. They didn't feel the nights you replayed it in your head. They didn't feel the loneliness that came with choosing yourself. They didn't feel the internal war you won quietly. All they see now is the result. A person who won't fold, a person who won't chase, a person who won't tolerate half-steps and mixed energy. Someone who can walk away mid-sentence if respect disappears. That split-second decision taught the world something important about you. That if it ever comes down to it again, you'll choose yourself. Every single time. And that choice rewired how you move through every room after that. You don't rush anymore. You don't over-explain. You don't perform urgency for people who wouldn't show up for you in a real crisis. You clock everything. Tone shifts. Micro-disrespect. Energy that feels off by half a degree. Stuff you used to ignore because you were trying to be understanding. You're still understanding. You just understand patterns faster. That's the part people miss. They think you got colder. They think you got ruthless. They think something dark took over. Nah. You just stopped gaslighting yourself. You stopped arguing with what your gut has been screaming since day one. You stopped needing proof stacked 10 layers high before you acted. You stopped waiting for betrayal to be obvious enough to justify leaving. That split-second decision trained you to trust the first signal. And once you trust that, nobody can manipulate you with confusion anymore. Because confusion was the leash. They used to keep you in endless conversations. Endless, let's talk about it. Endless, you're misunderstanding me. Endless delays that drained you until you doubted your own reality. That doesn't work on you anymore. You don't chase clarity from people who benefit from you staying unsure. You don't debate boundaries with people who already crossed them. You don't try to win arguments that were designed to exhaust you. You just disengage. And disengagement is loud. Silence hits harder than yelling ever did. Absence hits harder than confrontation ever did. Certainty hits harder than anger ever did. That's why they feel it when you pull back. Because when you move, it's clean. No emotional mess. No back and forth. No apology tour. You don't slam doors. You remove access. And access was the privilege they didn't know they were about to lose. You learned something brutal and beautiful at the same time. People only respect boundaries they think you'll enforce, and you enforce yours without announcing it. That split-second decision taught your nervous system that you can survive discomfort without collapsing. That rejection doesn't kill you. That loneliness isn't the enemy. That self-betrayal costs more than being misunderstood. Once you know that, fear loses its leverage. That's why pressure doesn't bend you the way it used to. Deadlines, ultimatums, emotional blackmail disguised as concern. You see it instantly. You don't panic when someone threatens to walk away. You don't scramble when someone pulls affection to regain control. You don't chase people who test how little they can give and still keep you. Because that decision already answered the biggest question you ever had to face. Can you choose yourself when it costs you people? You already did. Everything after that is lighter, not easier. Lighter. You move with a kind of calm that unnerves insecure people. You don't need to prove strength because you've already tested it. You don't need to dominate because your presence already sets the tone. People feel that you won't hesitate if it ever comes down to it again. That's what makes you dangerous in the quietest way. Not reckless, not loud, not unstable, certain. Certain people can't control you. Certain situations can't trap you. Certain games don't work on you anymore. You still laugh, you still care, you still show love, just not at the expense of your spine. You don't shrink to keep peace. You don't dilute truth to be liked. You don't trade self-respect for temporary comfort. That split-second decision lives in your posture, in how you pause before responding, in how you walk away mid-conversation when the vibe turns sideways. No scene, no explanation, just consequence. And deep down, everyone who interacts with you can feel it. They might not be able to name it. They just know they can't push you the way they push others. They know you won't crack under pressure. They know you won't betray yourself to keep them comfortable.